Hey guys, tonight we're stepping quietly into the cool morning mist of feudal Japan where your day begins not with coffee or doom scrolling, but by polishing steel plates and brushing dust off your helmet. You stand at the threshold of a quiet wooden barrack, armor laid out like puzzle pieces, and somewhere nearby, a crow cackles with rude enthusiasm. The sun isn't even up yet. You're barefoot on bamboo mats. Your eyes are still crusty from sleep. But your chest plate? That has to shine. Welcome to the life of a samurai before the sword fights, before the poetry, before the part where you're remembered for honor and valor. You have chores. And if you think a noble warrior wouldn't be caught dead scrubbing the inside of a shin guard with a horsehair brush, think again. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You trudge toward your armor rack, which sits quietly in the corner of your home, almost like a meditating monk. Your armor isn't shiny like the ones in movies. It's a dull, lacquered gleam made of dozens of metal scales laced together with silk cords, and it's filthy. Yesterday, you rode through the woods, helping escort a traveling monk. The roads were muddy, your horse got nervous around a snake, and now your Sodatho's flared shoulder guards are caked in earthy grime and maybe a stray leaf or two. Your first task of the morning is as sacred as it is tedious, cleaning each piece of armor by hand. There's no maid, no apprentice. Just you, a basin of water, a wad of cloth, and a gentle sense that if you don't do this, your armor might betray you mid-battle with a creak, a slip, or worst of Allah smell. You crouch down and begin with the duo, the chest plate. Not a single part of this gear is casual. Each plate has been lovingly lacquered with black resin to protect against rust. You wipe it gently with water, not too much, or the silk cords might rot. There's a rhythm to it. Swipe, inspect, tap it dry. Swipe, inspect, tap it dry. You hum a low tune. You glance at your helmet, your kabuto, and make a mental note to definitely polish that next. See, samurai armor wasn't just for protection, it was part of your identity. How you maintained it said a lot about how you carried yourself. Your clan emblem isn't painted on with flair for fun, it's a statement. And showing up to battle with rusty gear? Might as well show up without eyebrows. Mainstream fact incoming. Most samurai wore oyoroi large, boxy armor with lacquered iron plates and elaborate silk lacing. It was bulky but beautiful, more suited to horseback archery than hand-to-hand combat. Maintaining it required a routine nearly as involved as a modern car detail. Fringe tidbit alert. Some samurai believed that washing their armor too thoroughly invited bad luck. According to some sources, warriors would deliberately leave a small smear of ash or soot on their breastplate as a kind of charm, a way to confuse demons or shield their ego from vanity. No one wants to be the guy who got pierced by an arrow because he wanted to sparkle. The air grows warmer as the sun peeks through the paper screens. You hear the distant splash of a neighbor fetching water, the flutter of wings. You pause to pick out a small clump of mud from the kote or arm guards. It smells faintly like yesterday's horse sweat and moss. You wrinkle your nose but smile. Historians still argue whether samurai armor cleaning was done daily or just before major campaigns. Some texts suggest obsessive rituals. Others imply it was more of a once-a-week affair, depending on your rank and OCD level. But if you were a warrior with pride and enemies, you cleaned your armor often enough that it gleamed silently in the moonlight. Your last step is oiling. Not too much, just enough to give the iron a soft glow and keep rust from creeping in like a thief in the night. You dab a rag with camellia oilite, fragrant and traditional. You gently buff the edges of your thigh guards, then smooth it down the rim of your kabuto. It smells faintly floral. Not bad. You glance at your reflection in the curved metal just enough to know you're ready. Not for war, not for glory. For neatness. Because if a samurai could fight with honor, he could also shine with it. You lift the chest plate and place it gently on the stand, never dropped, never tossed. It's polished now, quiet and almost regal in its black lacquered stillness. But the job isn't done. Not even close. Now begins the painstaking art of polishing the plates, those tiny scales that make up most of your armor, called kozane. Imagine hundreds of small, overlapping iron or leather scales, each about the size of a big coin, tied together with colored silk cords. Now imagine having to clean them individually. Yes, all of them. And no, you don't get points for speed. You crouch low, dipping your cloth into a shallow bowl of water and vinegar. Just a touch of acidity, not enough to corrode, just enough to loosen yesterday's grime. This mix is older than your grandfather's grandfather, and it still works like magic. You gently scrub one kozane plate at a time, being careful not to fray the laces that bind them. Some samurai used powdered charcoal mixed with oil to polish their armor. Others preferred camellia oil, which wasn't just practical, it smelled like someone in your household still had feelings. You apply it with a thin brush, then buff with a soft cloth made of raw silk. The motion is circular, always circular. The samurai way is nothing if not deliberate. Your armor is a conversation of textures, hard metal, soft cords, rough polish. You feel every inch with your fingertips, like you're reading a book written in steel. This is meditative. It's also a bit insane. Mainstream fact drop. Japanese armor making was an art form, and maintenance was considered part of that artistry. Tosei Gusoku, the modern armor of the 16th century, featured smoother surfaces and more extensive use of black lacquer, both beautiful and maddening to clean. Samurai were expected not only to wear these creations, but to maintain them like museum curators with swords. You move on to the shoulder guards, the sword. These are large rectangular panels that flare out like wings. Not exactly aerodynamic, but certainly dramatic. They're held on by thick silk cords, dyed in your clan's colors. You rub a fingertip along one of the cords. It's starting to fray. You sigh. That'll need relacing soon. Another afternoon, gone to decorative knots and increasingly creative profanity. Here's the quirky bit. Some warriors, particularly during the peaceful Edo period, didn't just polish their armor, they added decorations. Family crests, intricate stencils, and even inlaid gold dust for the particularly flashy types. You know the ones. The kind of guys who polish their kabuto while flexing within earshot. Oh, this? Just a bit of dragon scale lacquer I had lying around. And while cleaning your gear, you have to remember it's not just vanity, it's strategy. Reflected sunlight off a smudgy, uneven surface might draw an archer's eye. A loose cord might snag at the wrong moment. A rusted scale might shatter on impact. The little things matter. You shift position, your legs cramping slightly. The room smells faintly metallic, now warm iron, oil, and the quiet musk of diligence. You wonder if anyone else in your clan is up polishing. Maybe Taro down the road, the guy with the chip on his helmet. Probably not. He's more of a splash some water on it and pray type. You, though you do it right. Historians still argue whether samurai cleaned their armor personally or left it to servants or armorers. Some sources claim that high-ranking warriors had squires to assist, but others suggest that even daimyo took pride in personally maintaining their equipment. After all, in battle, it's your life on the line, not your servants'. You pause to stretch your fingers. Your right index nail is slightly darkened now from rubbing metal. Occupational hazard. You stare at your handiwork, 2/3 of your armor now gleaming faintly, tidy, reborn. Then you notice a smudge on the edge of your greave, the shin guard. It's shaped suspiciously like a paw print. You narrow your eyes. That blasted cat again. You'll have to start closing the screen door when you polish. You wipe it off with exaggerated care, muttering something about feline treason. Somewhere outside, a dog barks as if in agreement. As you wrap up this session, you carefully set each polished piece in its correct order on the wooden stand, not tossed in a heap, not left leaning against a wall like a pair of muddy boots. Because in your world, armor is not just protection, it's presentation, precision, and pride. You sit back on your heels and exhale. Your arms are sore. Your cloth is worn. But your armor? It looks like it could star in a tea ceremony or a battle, whichever comes first. And somehow, even though you've done this 100 times, there's something deeply satisfying about it, not just in the shine, but in the ritual. In the fact that even if your name is forgotten, someone might one day say, he kept his armor clean. Which, let's be honest, is more than most people can say about their kitchens.